this is CapCan Knows, the official podcast of the Capital Area College Access Network. We're excited to engage the community in conversation about college access. I'm your host, Diana Yafizova, an AmeriCorps Vista, serving with CapCan. Joining me is CapCan's Executive Director, Michelle Strauss, and our guest, Mila Lynn, a Michigan-based visual artist and a graduate of the early college program at LCC. So let's get started. First of all, Mila, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We begin all our podcasts with a personal story of who encouraged you to continue education beyond high school and why it's important to you. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, I feel like college was always kind of like on my radar. My mother went to college, my father took some college classes. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It just always seemed like that was the next step after high school. So I don't feel like that. I don't feel as if when I was younger, I needed a whole lot of convincing. But as I got older and I started, like looking through applications and trying to like figure out logistics of where I would actually be placed, it was kind of like, okay, this is the whole thing. This is not just like, what you see in the movies where you go to school and then there's like a party the whole time. You actually have to learn stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that definitely my parents influenced my decision to have continued education.
Right. So tell us a little bit about how you learned about the option of an early college program and what made you decide to enroll in it while you were still in high school.
I was part of the first group of early college students in the Lansing area with LCC's campus, and it was like this new idea that was put out there, and um the incentives were like that it was free, and it was like, okay, you get a taste of what's coming next. And I knew that there were students that were already doing somewhat of like a dual enrollment thing where they would go and do nursing classes, but it seemed like it was only specifically for that industry, and that wasn't something that I was interested in. So when this came about and they were like, you don't have to have like a specific career path, it is just like to get you qualified into your basics, and then basically get you good grounding in what it is to be a college student. I thought, okay, well, no harm done. Like I guess I could try it, and if I don't like it, I'll just go back to my high school. But I think my biggest thing was as I was getting older and I was telling you, like trying to understand the logistics of going to school, like it costs money, especially if you're going to like a big university. You have so many costs associated that don't even have anything to do with like your tuition. And I don't think when I was younger, I realized that that was a thing. Like, I didn't realize how expensive it was. And then it was like, oh, well, you just take out a loan. And then when I was like, oh, well, you would like spend, your first 10 years of your career or something, right? Like, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but paying off your student loan, I'm like, oh my gosh, that doesn't sound like a good idea either. So the biggest incentive for me was that it was 60 free credits, and that wasn't money that was going to have to come out of my parents' pocket, or something where I would have to have multiple jobs while trying to study. And I'm glad that I did it. I think also me and my personality in high school was a little bit unhinged, to say the least. So um yeah, like I just wanted to have fun in the high school. And because school hasn't necessarily been like a difficult thing for me, growing up. I'm one of those students that, that like kind of can get bored or distract other people when they're not being continuously stimulated. So I feel like my 10th grade year was kind of like that. Like I just was there, I mean, I was getting decent grades, but it wasn't really offering me anything. So I was
Yeah,
happy to,
more of a challenge.
yeah, I was happy to be introduced to the early college. And they had it set up nice too, because you did all these tests. So if someone like me, or someone, even I remember there was one kid that like he only spent one semester with us early college students in our little hub, and then he was out taking college courses because he tested out of everything. So
Okay.
for everybody's different ability level,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to waste time if you didn't need to, you know what I mean? Just doing the run of the mill stuff that everybody's required to do.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a big transition from high school classes to college level courses. So what are some challenges that you faced in the beginning and how did you overcome these challenges?
So, one of my favorite things about the early college, which I hope that they still do it, is like they had some classes that were, I think it was like one class, or they were like worked into other classes, but they were like like some sort of like skills classes, like life skills classes, like time management and some
Mm-hmm.
some things like that. And I want to say that those, although they seemed very annoying at the time, were very beneficial, because that is a huge transition. You're going to maybe like 2 to 4 hour lectures, and then it's like, okay, well, how do you set aside your time to do homework, and like how are you efficiently reading, or just getting things done. And I think that that guidance was super helpful, because I don't feel like I'm naturally good at managing my time. you know like I know I have tasks that need to get done, but trying to like allot a specific amount of time to accomplish them is not always my strong suit. So that was kind of a hard transition. And then they also spoke to us about the fact that being that as a community college, we're going to be with people of all different ages. So all different ages. Some people speaking different languages, different types of professor personalities. So there was just a lot that had to do with life that is important around going to school. And I feel like I hear people talk about like that they went to school and um they never learned how to like balance a checkbook or something. I'm not saying that that's necessarily what we did, but we did learn about budgeting and some of these other things that if I would have went to high school, I don't know that anybody would have ever like sat down with me and worked on that sort of thing, which is like a major part of your life while you're in these realms. So I had to grow up, but I felt like I kind of had people to help me grow up with them.
Yeah, I appreciate that sort of guidance in the conversation about the life skills, because so often with employers now we hear that young people that come to them in the workforce don't have those basic life skills, those critical thinking skills, decision making skills. So the fact that that was embedded as part of your program, gave you not only the academics but the life skills that you needed to be successful then as an employer, or now in your case as a business owner.
Yeah.
Mila, what's some advice that you would give for students that are considering early college or dual enrollment programs, and maybe reflect on, like, oh, if I was talking to my past self, what would I want to know?
Allows you time to think through things a little bit longer than just jumping into college like straight from high school. Because they had like a statistic when I went to school that college majors change like 4 times before they actually graduate. And I actually know a couple of my friends who they probably reached that standard, but or some people, depending on how they performed in high school, they spend their first 2 years taking just like prerequisite classes, so before they actually start anything that is related to whatever career field they want to get into. So I would say that, like, if you're not exactly sure what you want to do, that it's something to consider. And um yeah, I don't know, I feel like my advice is, I just think it's like a no stress option to approaching college, because you're not really like losing anything aside from your time. And like one of my friends was like, I don't want to do it because I don't want to lose my high school experience. but I was still able to participate in sports. And I spent time going to the high school, so I had friends. I went to homecomings and all of those things. So it's, you're like involved as much as you want to be involved. Obviously, at the end of the day, however much effort you put into whatever you do will result in a specific sort of outcome. But yeah, I think yeah, there's not a lot to lose. It's not costing anything. Yeah.
Good.
My
Thank you.
advice would be to stick with it for a little bit, like coming in and trying it for a month and being like, oh, I don't know, like nothing's going to be easy straight away. Everything takes a little bit of work, but sticking with it is really what's going to pay off. Because I know that there's a core group of us that probably wanted to quit at certain points throughout the early college process. But that's just the same when you go to college, that you have a difficult time in some areas, or some classes are more difficult, or trying to adjust, like how I told you guys, like time management is not my strong suit. You have to learn, you have to grow through that, and that can be an ugly process, but getting it done is important. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
Thanks.
So we mentioned in the beginning that you're an artist. So how did the early college experience prepare you for your career as an artist?
Yeah, so man, that's a good question. I feel like early college played a huge role in my life. Like from already being an independent person to like the life skills things that I talked to you about that we were able to work through, to being able to choose what courses I wanted to take. Obviously, like I took things, so for my specific study path, I went with a marketing associates. But like I could have taken classes that were outside of that and kind of gotten exposed to some other things. But I feel like it allowed me to like grow up independently and learn how to like really build something. I don't know what, like I don't know if that's my personality type, and that's how I got pushed out of the program, and other people's personality got pushed in a certain way. But I feel like multiple of the classmates that I had are business owners. One of my really good friends, she is an esthetician and has 2 or 3 like locations around Lansing. She runs Skin Studio 211, but she's employed some other early college students. But I just, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to really put into words. I think that, for instance, like working with one of our early college teachers, Mr. Greenberg, that was like the writing teacher. He really taught us how to hone in on having like our voice, and then also separating that into like a professional voice. So I feel confident when it comes to writing bios and things that I have to submit to galleries. Or we had an economics teacher, Mr. Boogie, and I feel like I have a good understanding of how money works, and like a basic level of accounting. I did take some accounting classes as well, but I really kind of have like general knowledge of all the parts that play into running a business. Am I amazing at all of them? No, but yeah, and I got that from a younger age. There's some people that come straight out of high school and start their own business, and they make a lot of money and do well, but the business is super disorganized behind the scenes. There's people who, they go to college, or they don't go to school for a little bit, and then they get into an industry that they like, and then they, figure out, okay, if I go to school specifically for business management or something, they figure out how school can apply to that. But I'm glad that I did it the way that I did it, because I feel like I went to school, didn't necessarily know how it was going to apply, and then experienced life a little bit. And then when I was like mature enough to take on a career path, I had the tools, and if I felt like I was lacking in anything, I knew where I could go and get more of those resources.
Well, you've been such a great role model. So that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you and asked you to work with CapCan a few years ago to help us do a better job at communicating with young people about the importance of post-secondary education to their careers and to their futures. So tell me a little about what you've learned in this experience and talk about some of the videos that you've helped us produce.
Yeah, so the videos are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. And I think, um, the videos that we've done specifically where we go to like West Campus and check out programs, I'm always like, man, I think I like wanna be a drone operator, or like this last time, like electricity seems really cool. I like the technical hands-on stuff. Um, so so that experience has been really cool to be able to continue to learn about other industries, even if it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like going into that. It's nice to see what other people are passionate about. And then, for instance, like last week, I went into Blue Owl and I was talking to one of the baristas there, and he was telling me how he's in the welding program at LCC. And I was like, oh, how do you like it? I was like, I make some videos sometimes for them, so I can always like go back and report and see how things were. And he had nothing but like, he was like singing praises about the welding program. And, even educating me about stuff. And I'm like, oh, I understand because I've like seen the rooms and, all these things. But like, he was like nerding out about machines and all types. And then also was like, highly educated about roasting coffee beans and all types of stuff. So it's really cool to like meet everybody in their own unique capacities. And I think that doing the videos is fun because there's other people like me who might not know about those, different programs. And then they see it and they're like, that does kind of sound like something I would enjoy. And I would like to go check it out. And then they find out more information about it. And it also has allowed me to have like more conversations with people who, I don't know, like I think that they don't really know who to ask, or it's not, unless you're going to like a larger university, sometimes with the community college there's like less community around it. So people that want to talk to like fellow students that are the same age demographic as them might not necessarily know where to connect with each other. So that's has been a cool way to connect, for sure.
I know your one that you did this semester on apprenticeships was really funny, and it gave people a chance to think about apprenticeships in a new way, in terms of both having money while you're going to school, right? And also that apprenticeships have a lot more to do with post-secondary education than most people understand. So, um, I guess in terms of you being a spokesperson for this work, is there anything in particular that you want other young people to know about the opportunities that are in front of them?
Yeah, I think that I would say I feel like a lot of the obstacles that people like prospect students um, have been approached with, it seems like at least specifically in like the Lansing area, because that's like where we're working at, that there's a decent amount of resources. You just might have to ask around to, you gotta ask the right people. Because I think sometimes people just, they get on Google and hop to like whatever is the resource that everybody's going to, like we all know, well, not we all know, but a lot of people know like, oh, you can get a Pell Grant, and oh, you want to do your FAFSA, but like there might be, a scholarship specifically to, I don't know, baristas that work in the Lansing area, or something that is like very niche, that, talking to somebody like you or Deanna, you might have knowledge of those, or, those opportunities. or if somebody, was considering trying to do something that would increase like their pay, but they don't meet the qualifications, and then they could do an apprenticeship and then be like, okay, well, while you're getting your qualifications, you're also getting paid. And then once you get there, then you'll have your pay bump and you can continue on growing in that field. So yeah, I would say that that the obstacles to me don't feel as high as they once did or as treacherous as they once did.
Yeah, definitely. So for our listeners out there, if you want to check out all the videos that Mila has done, please visit our CapCan YouTube channel or follow us on social media, and you will find the latest and greatest information that she shares.
So it seems like we're coming to an end for the interview, and I have one last question to wrap it all up. We end every interview with the hashtag CapCanKnows, where you state your name and what you know. So I ask you, Mila, who are you and what do you know?
So I'm Mila Lynn, and I know that college can be accessible to any and everybody.
Thank you so much for having the time to be on the podcast and for such great responses. For more information on CapCan, please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. The links will be in the video description below, or visit our website at capcan.org. Thank you all for listening to us today, and we'll see you again soon.